something I've long wondered about. We've got the major world religions. You can kind of name off 5 or 6 that have more than 10 to 20 million adherents. And then it seems like there's this huge bucket of the everything else, call it animism or indigenous beliefs or this or that. I'm wondering, is that really a coherent category that all these groups have so much in common? We can give them one name in contrast to these world religions? Or is it such a crazy mix that that is just really a false category?
I don't think it's super helpful.
Mm-hmm.
We can see how it happened because the collection of scholarly knowledge about these non-European religions was done by people who came from Christian societies.
Mm-hmm.
They might not have been Christian themselves, but they came from overwhelmingly Christian societies. And one way to think about how they identified religion in the societies they visited was to say they asked themselves the question, what do they have instead of Christianity?
Mm-hmm.
So that, of course, if you come thinking that way, the less something looks like Christianity, the less it looks theological, the less it looks scriptural, the less it looks ecclesial in terms of having churches and temples and so on, the more you're going to put it into a sort of box of not like us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the category of things that are not like Christianity isn't obviously going to turn out to be a coherent category.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Any more than, of course, Gentiles. Gentiles are just people who aren't Jews.
Yeah. Yeah.
Infidels, translating a Muslim term, are just people who aren't Muslims.
Mm-hmm.
And there'll be lots of those, and they'll be different in many ways. Now, one of the things, however, if you come from a Christian society and you come from the Abrahamic tradition, so this applies to Jews and Muslims as well, is that you will be very sharp on the distinction between monotheism and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
However, I think there's some truth to Tyler's thought that if you believe in one or many invisible beings, there will be features of the way you act that are explicable in terms of that.
Mm-hmm.
And so it will be the case that all around the world, when people believe in invisible beings, and if we're going to call that religion, or we're going to call that animism, then there will be something that they have in common. But saying that is a bit like saying that everybody in the world will have in common that they speak a language, which is perfectly consistent with the languages being extremely diverse.
Yes.
And once you have the idea, Tyler's idea of animism, the idea that belief in invisible beings is the key thing, then of course you won't really parse things the way that classification in terms of the great world religions plus animism does, because you'll think of the Abrahamic faiths as also animistic.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because they believe in invisible beings. And by the way, it's true that they claim to be monotheistic, but they also have many invisible beings, right? The Quran is full of things called jinn,
Yep.
spirits, angels and archangels, and all the glorious company of heaven, as it says in the English prayer book. These are also invisible beings. And when an ordinary, everyday Catholic farmer goes to a shrine, a lot of the interpersonal character of that conversation with the saint is very like the interpersonal conversations that my father's family would have with our ancestors.
Mm-hmm.